So when Dan Morgan was hired to be the Panthers GM, he said that he was looking for some dogs. About a year or so later, it sounds like he's going to be a man of his word, because ever since the scouting combine came around, there's been a growing buzz that Carolina Panthers have really a draft crush on Georgia Bulldog linebacker Jalon Walker. From beat reporters to articles to Dan Morgan being coy about where they see Jalon Walker playing and where they pictured him, it's starting to feel like momentum is building for the 6'1", 245-pound hybrid linebacker and edge rusher. Add to the fact that he's been a Carolina native, he's the son of a coach that coaches in college football, and he's praised for his leadership amongst UGA. He checks a lot of the boxes that the Panthers are looking for in their players. Just listen to the glowing remarks from head coach Dave Canales when he was asked about Walker on the Up and Adams show.
Jalon Walker is on my show on Thursday. Your face looks like you're excited about that. What should I ask him?
I think just ask him about how he impacts his teammates.
Okay.
Every single Georgia Bulldog we talk to, they talk about Jalon Walker. They talk about the accountability, the way that he pulls the whole group together, the way that he plays with his hair on fire and communicates and all those things. And so I think there's just some intangibles about the guy that are really special.
He wants to, he seems like that would be a nice fit.
Yeah, he's right up the road. I mean, this is what is it, highway, is it 85? Super
I don't know,
close. So.
But I know that you pick 8th, and I know there's a lot of connections there, and I just feel like all signs are pointing. Blink if you're drafting Jalon Walker. But, he's half blinking.
Now listen to the glowing words Jalon Walker had for the Panthers when he was asked on the same show.
What stood out to you about that team meeting? And all of them are special and all of them are unique in different ways. What stood out about the Panthers?
Right. Their staff is great. And shout out to my guy Los, who's bringing me around all day long. That whole staff in general, they have a mission and have a plan to bring up the dynasty of the Carolina Panthers once again. And, I'm excited to see what they have planned in store, what to do.
Yeah, you were born in South Carolina. You went to high school in North Carolina. I did my homework. That might be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm only 45 minutes down the road, down Highway 85 in Salisbury, so it wouldn't be as bad as getting back home.
But recently, we've heard that there's another Bulldog that has the Panthers' attention, and that's Walker's teammate, edge rusher Mykel Williams. NFL Draft insider Tony Pauline has noted on several times over the draft cycle about the Panthers being a fan of Mykel. When doing a mock draft, Todd McShay on his podcast mentioned that it was just a matter of which Georgia Bulldog the Panthers selected, and it's just pretty much down to Jalon Walker or Williams. And even Panthers beat writer Joe Person confirmed that he heard that Williams surpassed Walker in-house with the Panthers organization as the favorite. Now, Mykel Williams is 6'5", 265 pounds. Dude has long arms, 34.5 inches there. And he has the strength at stopping the run and setting the edge. And he has the versatility to line up at multiple alignments across the front. So being the fact that he's only 20 years old with tremendous upside, it feels like the type of player that defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero would love. He has his types. It's not really a bad idea either to pick from the UGA tree when you're looking at defense. Just look at the Super Bowl, man. You can't really turn your head one way or the other without seeing one. You got Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, even Jacoby Dean, all played big parts of the Eagles' Super Bowl run this year. However, the two prospects we're talking about are very polarizing in the eyes of the draft experts and fans. Now, being one of the few remaining teams in the NCAA that plays team ball on defense, it's really hard to judge UGA players from just straight up box score watching. It's a tough exercise to do for either player, to be honest. Mykel Williams only has 14 sacks and 23 tackles for loss in 40 games in his career. A lot of it has to do with his deployment because he didn't really get to rush from wide that often. He was lined up more so inside and head up with tackles, and those aren't really favorable rush angles. He's projected to be more of an outside guy in the NFL. He's only 20 years old with tremendous measurables, like I said, so you're going to be betting on the traits here and the development of a player, and hopefully he grows and matures as your franchise goes. The key here is going to be to trust your coaches to be able to harness the flashes that you see on tape and just create a consistent player that can help you on a down-by-down basis as quickly as possible. It's always a risk taking these guys so early when they have limited production, and you can look at guys sometimes like Danielle Hunter, who was a perennial double-digit sack guy that struggled to really get numbers in college at LSU. Or you may get Cleveland Farrell, who never really quite figured things out and was a top pick for the Raiders when he came outside of Clemson. But for Jalon Walker, the beauty is pretty much in the eye of the beholder. Like, he's seen by some people as a tweener, and by some people, he's a hybrid linebacker. He plays off-ball linebacker, but he doesn't really have a ton of experience there overall, and he's kind of more effective just getting after the quarterback and just letting him do his thing, whether it's on the edge coming off and blitzing lined up there or blitzing from that linebacker. There's no denying what he's capable of there, as he has 6.5 sacks this season, rushing from all over the place. And he led UGA in pressures and sacks. But the dilemma with him is the fact that he's only 6'1", 245 at the combine with 32-inch arms, which is, I guess, decent size for a linebacker, but it's way small for an edge rusher, especially when he's projected to play there full time. Just look at some of the first round picks of the Arizona Cardinals from the past few years just to see how sometimes tweeners and hybrid guys can flame out in the NFL. Walker is ranked as high as a top 5 player according to like Daniel Jeremiah and Dan Brugler, but PFF has him in the 20s. But you really can't deny the success of guys like Micah Parsons, Fred Van Ginkel, or even Frankie Luvu, who are the type of hybrid guys that people compare Walker to. People that are fans of Jalon Walker are afraid of his fit in Carolina just because that last name I mentioned, Frankie Luvu, notoriously left the Panthers to go to the Commanders because he was a little bit skeptical and preferred to play under Dan Quinn, who was known more for using hybrid linebackers better compared to the defensive coordinator of the Panthers, Jerry Rivera. Just look at even hybrid defensive back Jeremy Chin. He did the same thing after being virtually removed from the rotation in Carolina and being relegated to a personal protector on the punt team. Dang. So I get the skepticism from fans 100%. Let's look at some of the tape of both players and what they bring and how they would fit in Carolina.
So when you're undersized and playing on the edge, the name of your game has to have some speed to it as well. Let's look at Jalon Walker here lined up on the edge. Just going to load this nice speed rush, use the bend to get underneath that offensive tackle and just get home, dip that shoulder, able to get there and get the quarterback hit, causes a tip up in the air, ends up being a crazy play after that. But let's play it one more time. Watch the shoulder, gives him a shoulder and dips underneath so he can't really get his chest, give him half a man, using angles to rush the passer. So you make yourself a smaller target. You're already undersized. Make yourself a smaller target and get home and get after the quarterback, get a tip up in the air. Those typically lead to turnovers. One more time, just seeing them dip. Boom, get the quarterback hit, balls in the air. Nobody can make a play on it, but we're good. Here we go. This time, going to get something to the other tackle. He's going to be lined up here on the left. Watch the speed and the hand swipe. Chops the hand. Look, you see that hand chop there to get by, gets flat, tries to bend, doesn't really get home. But I want you to just see the work of the arms and the hands to try to keep those linemen off him. The name of him being undersized, he's going to have to keep himself clean. When he's able to keep himself clean and keep linemen's hands off of him, he's fine. Once they get on him, sometimes they can really engulf him and overwhelm him. So he's going to have to use that hand swipe like that, that chop. You saw that quick chop, the hand move to get him off of that. And once you see that punch coming, the time up, it gets that arm up, the cross chop, gets that right leg through, try to bend through it, gets around the corner. The key to that cross chop, you got to time it up. You got to get that inside leg up and inside and chop that arm. Get the lineman off of you, but also be able to chop at the same time. So the key is to keep the hands off, the time to chop up, and then to keep that right leg through. You get that right leg through to get flat, and then you can try to get home. Doesn't get home there, but you see the speed and you see the handwork and the quickness. Same game. Let's watch him win with quickness here on the edge here. He's going to sit up. He's been winning with that speed rush outside so much. He's going to come inside with the inside counter and just leave that offensive lineman in his tracks. Boom. Hand swipe, arm over, makes the move inside. Let's just watch it one more time. A little bit slower, break it down. Gives him that shoulder shimmy. Look at that left leg on the outside. He's putting down to change directions. Swipes the hands away. Look at him swiping those hands away. Gets the arm over to get through. Once he gets side by side with the lineman and he gets the quarterback in his sights, it's over. One more time here. Sets it up outside, shimmy inside, arm over, get through. Let's make a play. So let's watch Jalon Walker utilize some power here with the long arm rush. He has shorter arms, pretty long for his size at 32 inches, according to the combine, which is a little bit suspect this year. But when he's able to get his arms in there first and get that inside position, he uses his length well. Again, when he's able to time it up and keep himself clean, he does a good job of being able to use his strength and those big old heavy hands that he has to be able to overwhelm tackles. We're going to see it right here. Let's watch him here on the edge coming off of here. Boom. Gets that long arm there, and he puts it back to the quarterback, gets after him, causes a disruption. Let's run it back one more time and see how it turns out. One more time here at the edge. Boom. Look at that long, gets that long arm, gets that extension. He gives him half of him. The lineman can't get a clean shot with two hands on his chest. All he can get is his arm because Jalon Walker has that arm inside here of the lineman, able to overwhelm him with the power because look how low he is. The low man wins because you can win with leverage and push him back, able to get pressure on him and force the quarterback to boot out. One more time, the same game as Notre Dame here on the outside, utilizing that long arm and that power to get after the quarterback, utilizing the length that he does have to keep himself clean. Boom. gets their hand in there, forces to swipe those hands off, able to get forced an incompletion. Let's watch it one more time and I'll break it down. You can see him getting after it, getting hype. So he is outside, boom. Come up, so gets out, vertically pushes up the field. And look, once he starts to make contact, this lineman has long arms. That's why length matters. He's able to almost get that hand in on Jalon right away, but Jalon gives him half and uses the angle. Look, he's not able to fully get his arms on Jalon. Jalon's able to get that hand inside of that shoulder of the lineman that's trying to get the hand on him. And watch this outside left hand by Jalon. He's going to use that to dislodge the hand off of his chest, swipe those hands away, able to get flat and get to the quarterback and make something happen with the quarterback hit. That's how you utilize your heavy hands, your big hands, and to overcome some of the length. Good hand work, accurately getting hands off of you and getting home after the quarterback. I think where Jalon really shines is as a designated blitzer, as the off-ball linebacker spot here, going against interior linemen. He uses his hands and his quickness to beat these guys. Watch him here in the middle as he times up his blitz and gets through. He doesn't get home, but he flushes the quarterback here. Boom, swipe and arm over. Look how quick that move was on this center. As soon as he snaps the ball, Jalon's on top of him. He tries to get his hands up on Jalon. Jalon gives him that shoulder shimmy, able to almost get that arm over. Look at that outside arm that's going to go up on this lineman here, and he's going to bring that arm over and through to get through. Once he's sideways with the guy, he has arms on the quarterback, he's locking in, but the running back comes in and tries to help. The quarterback has a slide in the pocket a little bit, makes the completion anyway, but you can see how the interior pressure that he's able to bring with a well-timed blitz is going to throw things off. Boom, arm over, gets through. Let's use that motor that you have to get after the quarterback. Here we go with Frankie Luvu lining up in the A gap, being able to be used similarly to, this is in the nickel package and some of the speed rushes here on 3rd and long, what you can do. Similarly, what you can do with Jalon Walker, line up in the A gap, getting him matched up, using quickness and the ability to get past and shoot gaps to beat an interior offensive lineman, just using them the same way. Like very, very similar roles that you saw what he was able to do in college. It's something he can do in the pros. You can see him just beat them easily with that because of the speed and the quickness and just the motor to get through, man. Sometimes it's just about will and determination to get through. You see some handwork by Frankie Luvu, but obviously getting him singled up with a center on the interior is very, very helpful. And like I said, some of the things you can do with Jalon Walker. Let's go back to the Kentucky game to see a similar type of blitz. He's going to time it up perfectly, coming up the middle, using that boom, just to win with speed, diffs that shoulder underneath, and the guy hooks him, but is still able to deflect the ball, forces that incomplete pass. Well-timed blitz as a blitzer with the full head of steam in his motor. It's hard for these offensive linemen to really stick with him because he has that low center of gravity, and he keeps coming with that high motor that he shows one more time just to show the disruption from him. Boom, gets there, gets that dip in there, but look, he's underneath that guy. He can't really get a good hold on him. He's good at using angles to make his body smaller. Give these guys a smaller target to try to get hands on the block. That way you make yourself difficult to block. The fact that you keep working as well and get that tip, that's what Jalon Walker's game is. Again, using him as a delayed blitzer, not showing it initially, but creeping up and being able to catch these offensive linemen off guard and beating them with quickness on the interior and just getting home in a hurry, man. Just looks similar to the type of stuff that Jalon Walker is showing on tape and was able to do at Georgia. So you can see why the Carolina Panthers would like to have a linebacker like that. They've been chasing this type of skill set ever since they lost Frankie Luvu in free agency. So you can definitely tell that he'll have some value for the Panthers and why they would like him a lot. Again, here we go, blitzing from distance here. This time everybody's going to slant inside. He's going to loop around and get home to the quarterback. The quarterback tries to get it off. If you can't get home to the quarterback, what do? You try to get your hands up, and that's exactly what it does. Gets the tip to really just nullify the screen that's going to happen again. Wrapping around, timing it up. Once he gets that eyes on the quarterback, closing in, but getting those big mitts up in the air. Make a play on the quarterback when you get close. He had a hell of a game here against Kentucky as well. Not too many people talk about what he was able to do this day. Just dominating them overall. It's unblocked. It was everywhere. Again, using the agility of linebackers. Let's see how Adrio Rivera did this here. Pretty much here. You got Eater Gross Matos. You got Houston here. They're going to slant here left. Everybody on the D line is going to slant left on their blitzing. That's going to create a short corner for Frankie Luvu to loop around with the full head of steam and get home. Just a beautifully designed blitz against the Saints, man, in the way. And Frankie Luvu just energy in a way to bounce around just makes this thing work, crashes it down. He's able to get home, man. And not to mention having a speed rusher on the other side like Brian Burns so he can't escape makes it a little easier. But you can see
Frankie Luvu feels like he's rushing up front. He's been coming through the A gap so much. You're going to see this left side crash down, and that whole right side of the offensive line think that they're going to keep going out, so they chase it. That creates a shorter path for Frankie Luvu to loop around with a full head of steam. And this dude's like a heat-seeking missile when he gets home, man. So this is the type of stuff you can do similarly with Jalon Walker, because that ability to close, that ability to change direction and have that agility here and just get creative with the type of spots you can really blitz him from.
Another asset of his game is being a nice spy and the closing speed he shows when he gets a guy locked on in his sights. Let's watch it here. He's going to be just kind of lurking. Once he sees the quarterback booth, boom, he closes in, almost able to get the sack, but the quarterback's able to get it off and still get a completion. Hell of a throw by the quarterback, by the way. But you were just looking, lurking. Once he gets eyes on the clear path, he has that quick closing speed, able to flip that switch like that to be able to get home very, very fast. Okay, here he is again against Arch Manning in this vaulted legendary Texas game that they played. He's going to be lurking. Arch Manning tries to boot out, but look how fast he's able to close on him and get him down to the ground and finish the play. Arch tries to get up and underestimates his speed, because I think this is the first time Arch has really gotten some action, but you can see Jalon Walker lurks. Once he gets him in his sights to see that quarterback spot, he's going to go in there and get him. Quarterback spot, you pretty much just wait there. Once the quarterback tries to move to the pocket or you find an opening, you go get him. And that's what Jalon Walker really excels at because of his quick twitch, acceleration, and the speed to close on these guys. The name of the game is, can we figure out a defined role and turn in the scheme of what you can do? On 3rd and 7 here, you can use him as a spy, just like Frankie Luvu does right here, kind of as a lurker. You can fake the rush. He just kind of sits there, looks for it. It's a 3-man rush. And once he boots out, watch how Frankie Luvu closes, forces a bad pass, and it gets broken up by the nickel. Good job by Troy Hill. But again, this looks very similar to what Jalon Walker just showed on tape. Just lurking, mirroring the quarterback. And once he sees him deterrent and take off, he goes and forces the issue there. Incomplete pass. All right, so let's look at Jalon Walker in the running game, because I know a lot of people have questions about him and his instincts as a regular natural linebacker playing against the run. My questions are more so in coverage and just being used to dropping and drifting. But if you're going to use him as a designated pass rusher, obviously he's not going to be in coverage all the time. But again, you're going to have to be in coverage sometime. But I think watching more of him in the running game as an off-ball linebacker, here he is. The way he likes to win, he's able to get physical and come down and carve up holes, take on these linemen, force them to squeeze these gaps. Running backs think a gap is going to be there, but it's not going to be there because Jalon Walker is able to squeeze it. Let's watch Jalon Walker come down here and fill this gap going against the offensive line. Times it up perfect, gets double teamed a little bit, but squeezes it there. That way the running back has nowhere to go, ends up to create a mess. And the running back goes down for a minimal gain. So let's watch it again. It comes up the line of scrimmage, boom. Comes with a lot of force, able to hold his gap, doesn't get pushed back here, but you can see he's got control here, is able to push this gap close. There was a gap there. Good thing by this lineman, this D lineman here, to set the edge. That's what you call setting the edge. That way he can't get outside. He forces him back inside towards Jalon. It looks like there's a hole there, but Jalon's able to squeeze it close as he uses the lineman and trips that guy out for a minimal gain. So just taking on blocks, even though he's smaller, and able to squeeze and close up holes that could be there. This is a physical brand of football playing against the run. Let's go to the Ole Miss game. Similar play here. They're going to be a run right at him in this hole. He's going to meet the lineman at the line of scrimmage, using those instincts to figure out, okay, hey, this is a running play. Let me get up here quick. It may have been a run blitz. I don't know, because he triggers very, very fast against this run play. He's going to do the same thing, taking all the physicality, control it, the hole, and clog up the gap. That way the running back has nowhere to go. Just using, this is what you call instincts. When you recognize that it's a run play, let's see how quick he's able to recognize that it's a run play. Because look how fast he triggers downhill. He sees the snap. He sees the line is kind of blocking the scheme, and he realizes, okay, hey, this is a run. He comes down there with physicality, takes on the block, holds it steady, and claws up the hole. But look at his technique here, because he inserts himself into the line of scrimmage. Instead of just waiting here and catching the blocks, because the lineman's going to come up to him eventually. They want to get to the second level to clear up those blocks for the running back to run through. But if you're able to insert yourself into the line of scrimmage and bring the physicality to the offensive lineman, this is what happens. Not to mention, he's going to use great technique as well. Boom. Takes on the block. You can see that his arm is hard to tell behind that goalpost, but you can see how low he is. He has that wide base right here. That way he can't get moved, really digging into the ground to hold his ground right there. Has that one arm extension controlling the block, keeping that outside hand free. and just pushes them back into the running back. The running back has nowhere to go, makes the claw pile, and the game comes here to help him out. And that's a way that you could take on blocks with physicality. Use your hands to shed the blocks, or at least move it, control it. That way you can do what you want and free yourself. But playing your assignment, playing your gap until the game gets there, that's just good linebacker play. Now, obviously, he has the quickness and agility to avoid some of these blocks. So sometimes you want to see him actually avoid it. Where he gets in trouble is he tries to take on every block like this with physicality. And again, he's only 6'1", 245, so he can get in trouble doing that sometimes. I would like to see him share these blocks. You don't want to jump out of your gap, but he has the quickness clearly to do an arm over or to avoid a guy like that, or swipe the hands away and then go make a play on the running back. We've seen him do that in the pass rush. I want to see him carry it on to the running game, because this is what happens sometimes when he takes on the blocks a little bit too much. Let's go to this play right here. Same drive against Ole Miss as well. He's going to get kind of bullied. Boom, they get hands on, they move him out the way. The running back comes right in between where he was. He's not able to meet them at the line of scrimmage like he did before. When I say meet them with force at the line of scrimmage and keep that wide base so he doesn't get moved, that doesn't happen here. The inconsistencies here, he's not able to get down there fast enough. Boom, he sits there, he's able to not get moved, but he still gets turned. The lineman has the hands a little bit outside, but he gets engulfed and overwhelmed. The running back gets right through the hole. Jalon Walker tries to get that arm free, but he's not able to keep himself clean enough. The running back goes right inside of where the block was supposed to be for Jalon, and you get a touchdown here. But sometimes taking all things too much. I want to see some quickness sometimes. Avoid that. I want to see him avoid that block by that lineman and then make a play on this running back in that hole. So this is just something he has to work on inside there, because again, we see him avoiding pass rushers, carrying that type of trace over to the running game and do it that way. Again, let's go to that same Kentucky game, playing against the run. Let's see what happens here. He's going to get moved out of the way. The zone block reaches him. You want to see him avoid that block. Don't try to sit there and take it on. Like I said, those same instincts that made him quick trigger to realize, okay, hey, it's a run, let me get to it. Yes, you want to stay in your gap, but you can still see that block coming, see the running back cutting back, and you can avoid that block. Instead of taking it on, the running back sees you getting washed out of the way, you get washed out, and the guy cuts back. Yes, the help is there, and you stayed in your gap, but I want to see him be able to make a little bit more plays just by using his agility more than trying to take on these big linemen, because you're not going to be able to make a living taking on these linemen, play in and play out at 6'1", 245 being that slow. Use your speed and quickness to avoid these guys. Boom, because he gets hands on. Once they get hands on, he gets overwhelmed and pushed out of the way. So again, use your agility. Here's one more play in the running game. He's going to be here lined up, walked up to the line of scrimmage. And again, these bigger linemen, once they get into his body, they can overwhelm him sometimes. So he's going to have to work on agility and avoiding these blocks, sifting through trash if you're going to play this close to the line of scrimmage, because trust me, they're going to run at you a lot, just like Notre Dame did. We're going to get a quarterback power right in this direction. They're going to clear Jalon Walker out on this one, man. And so you have to really work on being able to avoid these type of blocks. Do what you can. Sometimes, yeah, you're just going to take one for the team and the convoy's going to have to come. But clearly, they decided to run right at the area where Jalon Walker was, and they moved him out the way. Watch him get moved. He takes on the block. Boom, he tries to take on the block. He doesn't want to get hands inside. And when you don't get hands inside, and you're kind of high, look how high he is. The lineman is taller than him, but look how low he is compared to Jalon. Jalon's helmet is higher than the offensive lineman. The low man always wins. He drives those legs, moves Jalon out of the way. Look how much he clears him out of the hole. Quarterback's able to get through and clearly get a big gain in the running game there. So that's just something Jalon needs to work on. And again, Jalon Walker, he shows the agility. If he didn't have the quickness and the agility and the traits to be able to get better at doing this, then you might be concerned. But he clearly shows that he has the speed and the quickness when he avoids these line when he's pass rushing, that you can carry that over and teach him the technique of being a linebacker. Again, he hasn't played a ton of off-ball linebacker last year. In college, he was a designated pass rusher pretty much for Georgia. He did a lot of that this year, so it's going to be a growing process for him in the off-ball standpoint. But in terms of just being able to get after the quarterback, make things happen, use him as a blitz, I think he has value from day one. So I understand the appeal of wanting a Jalon Walker, but it's gonna be a growing process. It's gonna be some growing pains in him with some of the down stuff in terms of just playing traditional linebacker. So bear in mind that when you're thinking about Jalon Walker joining your team.
But like we talked about, the nuances of playing the linebacker position is something that's going to be a growing process for Jalon Walker. Not a ton of experience there. So be able to make himself a down in and down out player. There's a lot of things you can do with his skill set because he's going to be almost like a chess piece. But until you can really kind of make yourself able to play the run and off ball and play the pass in some sort, to at least be dangerous in coverage, you're going to be targeted at times. So there's some things that he'll need to clean up. He's not a finished product coming out by any means, but at the age of 21, with the ability to twitch, the leadership that he shows, you can see the appeal of why a defensive coordinator may want him. And again, you're going to have to be creative to use him, just because he's undersized and he doesn't really fit into any particular mold. But that may have some defensive coordinators salivating because of the versatility. So you guys let me know down below in the comments how you feel about Jalon Walker after seeing all these clips and plays of him. Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? If you had to choose as a Panther fan, do you want Jalon Walker? Do you want Mykel Williams? Are you scared of Jalon Walker because of he's a tweener, or do you think he's a hybrid player? Give me all your thoughts down below. But without further ado, my name is Aaron Duncan signing off. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.